This is by far the best selling style of design for your clothing brand. It's easy to make and it sells like hotcakes, literally. You can adapt this look to any design idea or genre, but you know me, we do things better over here. So today we're making what I call Star Tone to make a true vintage feeling graphic tee. I'll walk you through this whole process, so let's make some money. Let's go ahead and get started. New file. For the document this time, we're gonna go 3000 by 3500 pixels. And for the resolution, we're gonna set it to 350. From here, everything else stays the same, working in RGB for the effects. For my personal workflow, I like to use multiple artboards. So in case you forgot, you can go ahead and use the artboard tool to introduce an artboard, which later down the line comes in useful if you want to add in a new one. Go ahead and drag in your main object for the design. For this project, I'm going to be using Allen Iverson, and it works really well to use cultural icons when it comes to these sort of designs. Plus, you can write off their fan base by introducing different artists for each collection / drop. To cut this image out, we're going to be using the pen tool. It's the most accurate way of cutting anything out in Photoshop and allows you the most maximum control. Simply go up and hit selection and use a mask to cut that out. From here, I want you to turn off your main object, because we're going to introduce a star, which is going to be the pattern for our halftone effect. In the tools panel, I want you to grab the rectangular selection tool, and I want you to just highlight roughly around the star as close as you can possible. From here, I want you to go to edit and then define pattern. Once that's done, name your pattern and press OK. Let's start working with the face again. Turn the face back on and delete the star. Make a duplicate of a face and convert that into a smart object. From here, right click and head over to blending options. And then if you can't see your patterns, make sure you press show all in the effects, and then the pattern overlay should pop up. The pattern overlay that I have right now is set to multiply. Opacity ranges between 44 and 71. And for the actual pattern itself, it's just the star angled just a bit. And the scale, I like to set it between 1 and 2. Head down to adjustments and add in a threshold and play with the threshold until you're happy. Like always, add more highlights than shadows when it comes to faces, because it allows the details to be seen a lot more. If you want a bit more control over your image, I want you to go back into adjustments and add in a curve. Playing with the values of the actual image will actually affect how the threshold looks. Obviously, if you go with the shadows, it's going to add a bit more shadows. If you go with the highlights are going to be coming in the image a bit more. Another step to make it look a bit more muddy is I like to add in noise into the image, and adding in noise ultimately disperse the shadows on the image, giving you a lot more detail within your threshold. I like to set this in between 7 and 10, 14 if I want to be a little bit more spontaneous and I don't care how blown out the image looks. Let's go ahead and add in a new layer. Once that layer is created, I want you to go ahead and go to select, and from select, I want you to select color range. From here, I want you to select the shadows and copy my settings. Range on 0, fuzziness around 12. Once you press OK and you have that selection, I want you to grab the paint bucket tool and fill that layer in with black. Now you have a cutout of the effects that you've just completed. To me, this image is still clean, so I'm going to go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur, and I like to set this in between 1 and 5. Once that's done, press OK, and I want you to go ahead and set the blend mode to dissolve, and once that's complete, the image is going to be a bit more grungy overall. So it's not just going to be the stars, and it's not just going to be inside the image. It's going to be the cutout also. We're going to go ahead and add in a new layer. Now holding Alt or Command, click the layer of the original image, and that's going to create a cutout of that layer. Next, I want you to go to the new layer that we already had, select the color from the original image of a skin tone, something like that, and fill that layer in. I want you to repeat this step multiple times to include your colors. The only color option that I have on this other than the flat base skin tone is the shadows, and I like to color in the eyes and any accessories like the headband. We're going to add back in the star that we used to create the pattern, but this time it's going to be part of the design. Once you have your star, I want you to select it, change the color of it, and then add a Gaussian blur. From here, I want you to set that layer to dissolve, and that's going to make it a part of the design in itself. For the back graphic, we're going to go for a collage layout similar to what you would see on a 90s R&B album. Go ahead and add in a new artboard. Next, I want you to go to the selection tool and grab the ellipse selection, and from here I want you to make a similar ellipse to me. Select a new layer and fill that layer in with any color that you want. I just went ahead and went with yellow because it's easy to disguise later on. Next, we're going to go back to the tools box and we're going to grab grab the move tool. So it's going to be where the artboard tool is, and we can make a duplicate holding Alt and dragging across. Now we can repeat this, but going downwards this time and making sure it's aligned. Now I want you to add in related images to your artist or whatever you're doing this design on, and create a clipping mask onto those circles, making the main subject the center of the circle/ellipse. Select all your layers and I want you to group them. So press Command G. From here, I want you to make a duplicate, and then I want you to turn that duplicate layer of all the groups into a smart object. Right click and head over to blending options, and we're going to apply the same pattern that we did for the front design. Don't really change anything, press OK. Now essentially we're going to repeat the same steps we did to the front, so I'm going to walk you through it. Add a threshold, in filter, go ahead and add some noise. Next, we're going to head back into the blending options and we're going to click on outer glow. From here, we're going to play with these settings a bit. I like to add a lot of size because we're going to add this really cool effect. Opacity on 100, noise around 60 to 55%, and range, you can play with it. For the spread, I want you to adjust it depending on how wide you want this effect to be. In that same effect panel, I want you to click the contour and I want you to select the second one. And now you can adjust this and make any final touches to this look. Add in your new layer once you have a selection of everything and fill that layer in with black. Add a duplicate of this because we added a bit more noise than I would have thought. So add a duplicate layer to make it darker. To add some continuity towards the design, I'm going to go ahead and grab this star and add it to the back behind each of the images. Using the blending options, we can go ahead and change the color for each of the stars, making it like a unique personality towards the image. So the two on the left, he's sad. The two on the right, he's happy. So color coordinate according to that. Now we're going to add some text to the back. It's just going to be Allen Iverson in a sort of script font. Now I'm going to be using the everyday layer styles pack. And I'm just going to grab this simple one and I'm going to make some modifications to this one. I'm going to go ahead and turn off one of the strokes, and then I'm going to add an outer glow. So the goal with this outer glow is to basically recreate the sort of outer glow of the shapes that we have already, the circles. And that's done by using the spread, which currently darkens the size width. So if your size is this far out, but your spread is on 0, the look is going to be very faint. If you make the spread darker, it's going to make the look darker like so. Simply grab that one, drag it to the top, make a duplicate, and then add in like a nickname or something like that. His nickname was the Answer. Now the center is looking a little bit too empty for me, so I went ahead and just added in my logo. I made my logo into a brush. If you want to learn how to do that, check the latest video. Moving on towards the mockups, we're going to want to make a sort of very boxy look, and that's the sort of style that we're moving towards into 2024. Very boxy, odd shaped sort of t-shirts, because people want to be different from the regular fitting t-shirts. So we're going to keep going cropped until we can't crop no more. Now you can simply just drag in your designs if you have libraries when you have Photoshop and Illustrator combined. If not, just export your designs as a PNG and drag them into Illustrator. From here, if you have any sort of mockup asset or mockup set, it's fairly easy to change the color with my ones. You just click the color layer and go ahead and change the different colors until you find one that you really like. Now this mockup set is only available with the motion layers, and it's going to be available on my Designedbywil Patreon soon. I just need to make another video around a different sort of graphic, and then I'm going to drop everything for the Designedbywil Patreon. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead and add an outside tag. These have become very popular, especially when it came to people wanting to rebrand or remake their streetwear to make it a bit more luxury, because you can screen print anything. Everybody screen prints, but having little details like this kind of elevates your brand to like a certain extent, and people look at you a bit differently when you have tags and different logos in different areas that normally cost a lot more than your average starter brand. Now the design is complete, I'm going to talk to you guys why this design sells so well. I think number one is the versatility. This design can literally be made into anything. Number two, it's easy to color so people can wear it every single day. Number 3, it brings out a sense of personality for that person. For instance, if you like Tyler the Creator, you can make this tee about Tyler the Creator. If you like cars, you can make this tee about cars. So just this general style sells like hotcakes, which I said in the beginning, and that wasn't a lie. Make it something a bit more personal towards the brand, but just this general style of clothing does really, really well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I love you. See you in the next one.